Welcome, Max. Welcome, Campbell. Welcome, Max, to HQ. First time at official head office.
At the studio.
At the studio.
Yeah, this is what I thought it'd look like.
Yeah.
To be fair, it's just quite professional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much Triple M, much of a mucher.
Similar. I was on Nova this morning, and I can't see too much of a difference.
Good. That's what I expected. There's we're here today to talk about everything that's going on at the moment. There's been so much going on, Max. You were touching on before UAE Tour and a couple other Belgian races have been on in between, which I don't even have on the run sheet. There is just a gazillion things going on, and it's so good. There's cycling. I don't know. For me, it is in such an exciting state.
Yep.
And the people that are at the top are just out of control.
I think it's good that there's 5 guys. I think that's what's cool. It's not just Froome winning everything, although he wasn't a classics rider, but it's not just Froome and Cancellara winning everything. It's 5 guys, MVDP, Van Aert, Pogacar, Roglic, and Alaphilippe, just in a league of their own.
And also the kind of the team strength. It seems like we get into the back end of races, and it's not just like De Koenig still always have the numbers, but there's these more one-out situations where guys are just going head-to-head, and the two cross boys are just at the top of their game. We might start... actually, first of all, Campbell, are you pretty happy that you're not a bike rider right now? Like, not that I ever questioned my decision to stop cycling, but at the moment, you're like, I would be so far from the mark, and these guys are just... next level.
Well, are you talking just specifically now because of the quality that's at the top? There's no chance.
It just seems like there's no chance.
Yeah.
0 chance.
Well, it's a bit like that. Like Max said, there's a handful of guys that are winning, and if these guys are showing up at races, good luck to anyone else winning. I mean, we saw Mad's worst win from the breakaway in a stage at Torino. That's really the only kind of upset non-champion we've had win in the last month or so. So to answer your question, Alex, yeah, I'm pretty happy that I'm not racing on the circuit at the moment.
There just must be some guys like that are just in the bunch going just like, what do you do? Like Madwert Smith winning that stage. The amount of things that had to go right for him to win that stage, numerous. And it's just these other guys just cleaning up. Strata was a pretty good example. We had a select group go from pretty early doors. Van der Poel started it. All the boys were there. No one had teammates. It was just good. It's just bike racing.
He dropped Van Aert relatively early, but that's not concerning, is it? That was his first race. So I'm looking towards Milan-San Remo. Can Van der Poel drop Van Aert again? Surely not. Van Aert's the better climber.
Yeah, it's at the end of 290 odd K, isn't it? The Poggio, the final climb. So that comes into the equation. But I don't think the distance is going to be a problem for either of these boys.
Well, they're going to attack from 120 out probably. So
well, maybe we might see a completely different landscape of the race because teams think, well, if we come to the Poggio with these guys, there's no way of dropping them. And even if we don't drop them, they're still going to torch us in the sprint. So I think I saw on your Sorkin notes over there, Alex, can Caleb win San Remo? Well, I don't know because Wood Van Aert touched him up in a bunch sprint at Torino last week. So, I mean, if you're in the Lotto Soudal camp, you must be thinking, how are we going to win this race? They've got Gilbert there who's going to be going for his 5th monument, which could work for Soudal, but at the same time, it's always tricky having this 2-pronged sort of attack. You don't really know who your real leader is, which makes it tricky.
Surely Phil Gilles over the edge. Surely.
It didn't look
you
great.
tell that to Phil Gilles.
I can't remember which one I was watching at the time because they'll both go at the same time in Italy or France, the races this week. But which one did Gilbert ride? I reckon he rode in Italy. And he got dropped. He just got dropped so early. I know he's probably riding to get himself fit for San Remo, but I don't think he's in the question, is he?
For me, no. He's actually so far from the question. Like, he's miles away from where Van der Poel and Van Aert are. Like, a million miles away. Max, you get that
agree.
mic up in your grill.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I do agree. I don't think he's going to be around the mark, but I think he'll want to try for it, because winning all 5 monuments, that's massive, isn't it?
It is massive. But even like there was, I don't know, another example is GVA. Looking at the team, looking at the start list before, like GVA,
He's off the pace.
2 years ago, it was all about GVA. It was
Yep.
the GVA show, and then now he just seems so far from.
Even all of those quick step guys like
Yeah.
Stebar and Asgreen, and like they're going to need to attack from a long way out and hope that they don't get followed.
Should we just go back to, I guess, the 2 tours that were running
Yep.
last week? Normally in cycling, it's one of the things I hate the most is there's too much bike racing on at the one time. But last week it was pretty elite
It
on
was the
both
Pog and the Rog show,
yeah,
wasn't it?
both ends of the stick. Torino first. Cambo, you touched on this to start off with. Opening stage. Caleb Ewan got touched up in the bunch kick by Wout van Aert, who was pretty much running Han Solo. Not that Caleb's got some scorcher lead out, and he turned out that he was a little bit off health down the track.
Well, didn't Wout? The Jumbo Visma train got a little bit thin towards the end, and I think he jumped out from second and just held on to his lead.
He's ridiculous. How many times does someone win the bunch kick on day one, wins the TT on the last day, and second on the general to the guy that won the Tour de France last year, ahead of Bernal, whoever else was there? It's unbelievable, and I think we talked a little bit about this last year. He's going to be a GC rider. I think kind of our question was answered here. I think in a couple of years he's going to be targeting Grand Tours.
He'd need to somehow in his training. This is where I'm asking you guys the question, because you probably know more. Surely he needs to train and lose a little bit of weight to be able to continually get over mountains, which would therefore put him out of the Van der Poel battle, wouldn't he?
I'd say so. If I mean, he's listed here as 78 kilos. That's probably about 5 kilos too heavy. I reckon you can probably win a Grand Tour at 72, 73. But anymore, you're starting to get on the heavy side of things. But I mean, we saw last year he can climb as good as anyone on that mountain TT. What was he, 3rd or 4th?
Yep.
So he can definitely do it. But I think his sprinting and his classics ambitions will have to be put to the side, whether he wants to do that or not. He's in a nice position to be able to make that decision.
Did you see him climbing the stage Pog won? The stage that Pog got his time to, I guess, claim the GC victory. Did you see his climbing performance?
Yes.
It was out of control. It was just him.
He had no team.
He had no team.
Yeah.
He was riding the whole thing, and Bernal and Thomas were getting
He dropped
hooped.
Egan.
Egan's getting hooped.
I wasn't around. I don't think none of us were around for when Indurain was winning Tour de France's. I'd like to go back and see some old footage of him just climbing at his own pace, the big diesel. I think that's probably a little bit what Van Aert's going to have to do. Bradley Wiggins didn't when he won the Tour de France. Just ride at this power and just be disciplined, not follow attacks. I think that's the sort of climber that he's going to have to become, but he can do it, no doubt.
The list of names he beat on that stage are Fuglsang, Bernal, Thomas, Bardet, Nibali, Alaphilippe.
And back to my original point of surely there's these guys sitting in the peloton just going like Bardet. What am I meant to do? This guy beat Caleb Ewan in the stage 1, and now he's blowing my doors off, riding the front on the mountain climb.
Then beats Ghana in the TT, who we thought was going to be unbeatable for the next 10 years in time trials.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's not as impressive. The biggest stage for mine was stage 5. When the 3 of them were just out by themselves a long way. It was a relatively flat stage. There was some bumps, which obviously caused but Van der Poel almost tanked on the line. Pogacar put in one of the best rides I've ever seen in my life. And Van Aert was a minute in front of the peloton as well. It was just crazy riding. They were just doing their own race, and the peloton were like, all right, let's just let these 3 go.
I think we've seen this parkour before in Torino. I think Sagan might have won it a couple of years ago. It always seems to be wet. There's this filthy steep hill, and we saw last week that the leaders were exposed. With
It was like a one-day
60K to
classic
go.
type
a lot
ride,
like a one-day classic, exactly. And Mathieu took the bull by the horns and blew up in the last 10K. He said he couldn't ride it over 200 watts, but hung on. But I think it just goes to show that Tadej is the real deal. If he can handle himself on days like that.
That was a ride.
big time.
That was the ride of both tours. Pogacar's ride to try and chase Van der Poel.
Yeah, and also hats off to Bernal for getting stuck in on a real filthy day like that as well. So I think Bernal's coming up to a good level. Do we know what Grand Tour he's doing? Has he been confirmed for the Giro?
Yeah.
I don't know where they're at, Ineos.
Well, I think this is on your notes as well.
It's on the notes.
Yeah.
It's just Ineos question mark.
Yeah.
He was really good at Strata, I thought. Made that final split. Him, Alaphilippe.
Well, they've got their other young British fella who's riding extremely well from cycling
Pidcock.
cross as well, wouldn't he?
Pidcock,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Picot's lining up this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes with the distance and against the big boys. Not that was really an issue at, I think it was Brussels Kern, where he just helped himself to a third place from like a bunch kick at 60-odd kilos.
And he also ran a 13-minute 5K a couple of weeks ago.
Did he?
I think it was.
Yeah,
I
saw
think it
that.
was proved that it was a little bit fake. Because I think it would have put him in top 10 in the world champs on the track, 10K. So
What's your 5K time at the moment, Maxi?
No, I wouldn't be anywhere near 13. I don't think. 5K. I wouldn't have run 5K to a clock since I got drafted, so I can't tell you, unfortunately. Stefan Kung beat Ghana in that time trial as well.
he did, yeah.
There was heaps going on that time trial.
Yeah.
What was your take, Cambo?
Well, I thought it was going to be Ghana.
Obviously, everyone thought it was. Everyone had locked in their tip for the next 5 years of time trialing. It's just going to be the Ghana show.
Yep.
And especially, I think was it 10 clicks?
Yeah, it's like 11 minutes. It's searing quick. It's right up his alley.
It's Ghana
Yep.
through and through.
I think the last 2K I saw on Ineos on their socials, it was 560 watts or something for the last couple of Ks. So, I mean, what's Van Aert and Kung doing as well? You know what I'm saying? Like it's incredible. But yeah, Stefan Kung, and I also saw Benjamin Thomas from FDJ was also up there in the top 5 as well. So FDJ kind of becoming like a little bit of it. We saw this actually a couple of years ago when Kung went over there. Just their whole TT kind of setup came a long way. They had Tobias Lugvisen in 10th as well. So 3 guys from FDJ in the top 10 in a TT.
Are they trying to tell their leader a secret little message here? Although Thibaut actually rode a good time trial as well from memory.
He's 15th.
Yeah.
He was 15th at 35 seconds. So I know that Jurgen Landry, he was the TT specialist for the equipment at BMC. He's now at FDJ. So there could be something in there, and Stefan Kung is also there, just bringing up the general level. So that's just something worth noting.
Look at that name under Pino as well. Domenico Pozzovivo was finished top 16 in a TT on a 10K.
What? Has there been any announcements about what Pino's doing this year? What FDJ are doing this year? Reference Tour de France?
Every time I listen to the commentary around Gadou when he does something on the rides that I watch, they all say he's the leader. So
for the tour.
Yeah, so the commentators are all saying Gadou's the leader. I haven't heard much out of FDJ.
I think, Pino's listed here as doing the Giro.
Okay.
Yep. So I think he was my tip for the Tour de France last year.
He was your
and
tip.
he fell off a cliff.
I think I'll put him on the podium for the World Tour as well. Didn't even feature in anything.
So it's all win for David Gadou.
David Gadou.
Is he one of your men?
He is one of my men.
Yeah.
I won a good long range multi on David Gadou. Do you want an update on any results?
Yeah.
Sure. Why not?
Just a couple of smashing in Van der Poels. That's all. You can't bet against them at the moment.
Nah.
Yeah, there's no.
Well,
I haven't been getting the roughy because there's been no roughies.
Has it kind of ruined it? Like, what?
I'll tell you who I
you
did
can't-
get actually. That's right. I knew I had a roughie to give you. The TT in Paris-Nice, Bissinger.
Ah, yes.
EF.
Were
We
you on
want it.
him?
Yes, because of his ride in UAE.
There was something to go off of, but hats off for taking that on.
His UAE ride
Look out.
and his helmet. His helmet just made me want it. If you were listening and haven't seen what helmet he wore.
Anything else from Torino before we go start chatting about Paris-Nice? The only other thing I had written down here is that just the Pog put 4 minutes and 13 seconds into Egan on that climb. That's a big margin.
Yeah, I think when you look at the GC overall, apart from Van Aert, everyone is 4 minutes behind the Pog. So the Pog v Rog show is genuinely on
It's
again.
on. it's on.
Until the final TT, where Pog will get him and Rog will break.
Mikel Lander in third, just quietly.
Yeah.
Where is he at? He's not going to be competing for Grand Tours, is he? He can't be.
In stage 6, correct me if I'm wrong, was stage 6 a bit of a hilly finish? It was the second last stage. Where there was a group that sort of attacked a little bit, and Lander was part of that. Bernal had a go, and then he fell out the back.
Yeah.
So Lander must have had good-ish legs to do it, and then Simon Yates obviously did his big attack to try and catch Pog.
Yeah.
But it was too late. But
Yeah.
Bernal definitely did get out the front for a little bit.
Is Lander the man for is it the tour team? Is he the guy? Like him? Well, Paul's now there now. Hagee's there now.
Good climbing contingent. There's no doubt about it. I think Damiano Caruso will be in that mix too, but
Is it
I think a podium is their best case scenario. A third at the tour or wherever Lander chooses to go. Realistically,
Paris-Nice.
just one more thing.
Yeah.
Joao Almeida was 6th. So his performance at the Giro last year, I think they're now seeing him as a genuine GC.
They're still confused, though. They don't know. With Alaphilippe in the team, you can never have a GC rider for mine. Because he's just... A lot of those stages he targets.
Yeah.
You could see the confusion between them at times, Alaphilippe and Almeida.
Yeah.
Didn't the stage that Alaphilippe won at Torino, he overtook his teammate? He attacked with like...
Yeah, no, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if he hadn't have attacked, his teammate may have held on.
I think he probably made the right call.
You reckon?
I think so because, like you said,
Was it Stibar? It was Stibar,
I
wasn't it?
think it was it Stibar? I can't remember who it was, but yeah, he might have won. But at the same time, if Alaphilippe didn't go and then
Correct.
his teammate got rolled by someone else, maybe it was the plan all along. But yeah, Alaphilippe's not going to let that up.
He's in the wolf pack,
Yeah,
but I think he's got his own little place there.
You can't forget Alaphilippe when you talk about these big four because he beat him in stage 3. And yeah, he's obviously
Do you feel
genuine
like talent-wise though that he's just that touch behind? Like he needs his panache and craftiness to win.
You're basing that on the Strade when Van der Poel just rode him off his wheel.
Like made him look like he was going backwards.
Yeah. Maybe that was too steep and gravel. Got him.
Maybe it got him. Maybe he's just keeping his cards close to his chest. Early days. It's early days yet. Tour de France's. That's his real wheelhouse. Home turf.
I think so. And also the Ardennes, Liège will probably be the major one for him.
Yeah. Paris-Nice. From a sprinting point of view, it was the Morkov brackets Bennett show. Morkov just every time.
We talk about it all the time.
Just
Sprinters
bang,
at that team are going to win a lot of races. And before Sam Bennett went there, you wouldn't have thought that he was he was bloody good, but you wouldn't say he's the best sprinter in the world. Goes to Quick Step, he's probably the man to beat at the moment.
He's the man. Yeah, he's the man to beat. I think. I don't know. From last year, it was like him and Caleb were the fastest. Caleb was arguably faster, but he was never delivered well.
Yeah.
They still look like the two. And you can add Demar, he'll get some legs at some point. But everyone else looks like a class below, don't they?
Who else is there?
Like
There's
the
Ackerman.
Ackerman's off.
Buhani,
Viviani's probably
Viviani's
well
off.
past it.
Brian Cockard, the Cav. We're going to put the Cav in there.
Well, he's back at
The
Quick
cab could be back.
What are your thoughts on him anyway, getting a contract from Patrick? Is that a little bit of, we'll give you a chop out, give you a contract for another year?
Yeah.
Or there obviously is some value having Mark Cavendish on your team for other reasons than just pure racing?
Well, the racing's not really doing much.
No.
He gets dropped very quickly.
I imagine there's some expectations at Quick Step that you have to be in good enough shape if you want to be riding for our team. And the last couple of years, he, let's be honest, he probably hasn't been there.
Is there an obligation for the European teams to field a team in the Europe calendar in those smaller races like Les Sams?
Yeah, that you have to. If they're like a world tour category, there's certain categories you have to send a certain amount of riders. Otherwise, you get a fine.
So therefore, they need some numbers.
They need numbers.
That's why there's
And
squads of 30.
Yeah.
I think Cav brings commercial value. I think it would have been pretty handy for like little sponsorship negotiations when they're signing them at time, especially giving them a bit of a UK presence But yeah, I don't think he can be saved from Quick Step. It's the place where people get revived or make their greatness, but I just can't see it happening.
Probably tend to agree.
He's not gonna beat anyone in the bunch sprint at the moment.
No.
Cohen to Court would get him. He hasn't won a pro race in his career, and he's 42.
So we had the Pog at Torino, Roglic over the other side at Paris-Nice. Again, we're talking about people that are a class above. He was a class above.
Genuinely clinical. There was a lot of talk about the stage where he overtook the lone breaker.
Yeah.
There was a bit of hate for Rog there, actually.
What?
And they reckon that was the whole everyone going to the front of the peloton to help burn Rog when he crashed was a bit like this is payback for taking on the fellow who lost his.
What are your thoughts on that? Because we were actually here watching it with a couple of buddies, and I really liked it. Winning.
I think you have to win. You have
winning
to win.
stages of World Tour races is hard. There's no gifts.
Correct.
So I didn't see a problem with it at all. I thought it just showed that he's bloody hungry and he loves winning. And you got to be a cold-blooded killer, I think, to win big races.
Do you have to,
gifts.
Do you have to just have a good bone in your body for that day that he does get caught out and needs a friend in the peloton?
Yeah, I don't think he went out of his way to like make an enemy. You know,
Yeah.
So I would hate to see the peloton turn on Roglic for that.
And to be fair, there was a couple of people giving him their wheel to help him get back on.
Yeah.
Cockard was it Cockard or Buhani? It was one of those older sprinters that was riding with Rog to try and get him back in the group.
But what are your two boys' thoughts on it? I was completely fine with it.
I think winning culture is important. That's my opinion, but I don't know what the etiquette is in cycling. If someone's been in the break and you're a GC rider and you're going to get time no matter what, if you need that extra 10 seconds win bonus.
Because there was this argument, this could have changed this bloke's career, which is probably true. If you get a Paris-Nice stage in the Palmares, you sign another contract for next year. Roglic wasn't having any of it. Alex, what are you been a bit quiet over there?
I don't mind it. I think they are right. It would have changed his career, but that's why it's so hard.
Exactly.
It's not, you just go ride bike races because there's these rules that, you give them the stage. Like, Roglic's that good because he's a savage competitor.
Yeah.
Gino Mader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would have changed his career.
Absolutely.
But, we're not there to make friends.
Exactly.
Jumbo,
but the fact that Rog had won 3 stages already, is that including the bunch sprint?
I don't have a problem with it. No problem.
Yeah, no, I'm all about it. The guy writing his €3 million check at the end of the day is not going to go, it would have been nice if you gave that guy an extra stage.
Yeah. Exactly.
He was so good. He looked like he had those obviously there's one asterisk against one of the stages, but the ones that he won, 3 stages, he looked like everything was in control.
Yep.
There was no doubt. There was no, this is a bit uncomfortable for me. He was just out and out the best climber.
Not as clinical from Jumbo.
No.
They got dropped very early, George, and who was the other main domestique he had? No, Gessink had Van Aert. Kruijswijk.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got dropped. He was on his own for a lot of it, but it didn't seem to bother him because a lot of other teams were attacking him anyway. So he didn't have to he could just sit in behind wheels.
Mm.
He attacked late in all those ones, was the main one. He didn't attack early, didn't have to hold a massive gap. Like the one where he got Gino Mader, he attacked extremely late.
Yeah. But he attacked hard.
Yeah,
it was, if you go that
solid.
hard with 3 minutes to go and you can really just sustain, you don't need any teammates, you can go all in. That's kind of becoming his bread and butter now, isn't it? That attack with 1K to go and hang on if you can.
It wasn't a strong GC field, Paris-Nice.
No.
There was our boy Lucas, but in the scheme of things, he's not a strong GC rider yet. And then Vlasov and Schachmann would be the two. And Vlasov looked okay.
Bit how you going?
Mm. Yeah, you are. I mean, if we're being serious, it was a little bit thinner than perhaps Torino, but I mean, Schachmann won this race last year. He came back and wins it again. Vlasov is.
Did it finish last year?
Yeah.
Last-
Sharkman, that's B2B. For
Last
his
one.
days. And Vlasov is an up and coming climber. I think him and Lucas are probably going to be going head to head for a number of years. And then you look at some part timers in the rest of the top 10.
One of-
Benoot, Guillaume,
One of my
Matin,
boys, Guy Matin.
Matteo Jorgensen. So yeah, still I think it was a super ride from Lucas to be fourth in the general at Paris-Nice, which is considered one of the biggest 1 week races of the year.
Mm. The other thing too, Roglic was just third in the TT, like real solid throughout too.
Mhm.
So he's obviously in super nick. Do you want to chat about Hamilton v Matthews up that climb that Roglic?
Beat Laporte and
yeah.
Matthews, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were touching on this just pre-show. It was an interesting dynamic seeing that transition between. It was kind of like after the hardish stages that would suit Matthews, and they were into the mountains. But Matthews was still there with.
Did he have a jersey, or was he second on the? So Matthews was kind of still in the GC
he
race.
was still in the GC race, but it just looked like they had no idea what was going on. They were just looking at each other, going, "Oh, do you ride for me?"
They were doing weird things. They both got to the front at one point and rode. Like both of them were doing a pull at the same time. I'm like, I don't think they get it.
Do I ride for you? Do you ride for me? I just thought that was an interesting dynamic.
Matthews is. I mean, I like the guy. I mean, I don't know him, but I like how he rides. But this big five, he's sort of lost now, isn't he? He's not going to win a bunch sprint, and he's not going to survive the hills. I get that was the lumpy stages, but there's someone better than him in lumpies now, isn't there?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, with these two guys, especially Van der Poel and Van Aert, where do these sort of uphill sprint specialists get their wins from?
Where's Peter Sagan? Can Peter Sagan challenge? Is it a big six?
Was Sagan at...
He was at Torino.
He's recovering from COVID, so Torino was his first race post-COVID. So I'll give him an out. He didn't do much. he didn't do much at Torino, I must say. But he's at Milan-San Remo, Sagan.
That kind of rider is just in strife. Like, where do they fit now?
I reckon Sagan, the amount of swagger he has and reading his book and whatnot, he'll want to beat Van der Poel and Van Aert.
Can he, though?
That's the
Is
thing.
he- is he past it?
Everything is on that right now. He's put in all of his goals in just one race where he can get them.
Was he? He's 30, turning 31 this year. So
There needs to be... Sagan's greatest strength is probably his bike handling, but the cyclocross boys have bike handling.
That's
yeah,
it.
the Kings.
Yeah.
Just on Michael Matthews, I think he's won 3 races since the start of 2019.
Any big ones?
Lots of seconds and thirds.
Yeah,
Lots
lots
of top
of
tens.
thereabouts. But
He had a shocking run in Tour one year where it just seemed like he just won every best of the rest bunch kick,
yeah.
but was never in the mix for the win.
So he won one of the 1 days in Canada at the end of 2019. I think he won one stage.
It'll be the same issue at Bike Exchange if he goes to a Grand Tour because they're quite a GC team as well. So you always have to toe that line.
And he won Bretagne last year. So not a whole lot of victories.
Are
But
they,
like we're just saying, with Van der Poel and Van Aert, there's not that much to go around for the rest.
These are the ones, the one-day classics where there's no GC rider and he is literally the rider that they'll be aiming for. These are the ones where he's got his chance to get a whole team working for him.
Yeah. They're not really the right kind of runs, are they, Campbell?
Well, we talked about that. They're not the right type of runs, correct?
Then the last stage, obviously, something happened to Roglic on the downhill, crashed again on the final downhill, loses the GC on the final stage of another ASO race that has a yellow jersey.
How bad was that vision of when he was almost like 50 metres onto the back of the peloton? It got so close.
That's what
I'd
happened.
say Ineos get their man on there. Jumbo didn't. If that was an Ineos rider, Ineos get there, or a quick step, they get back on. Jumbo didn't have the legs apart from
Just a bit off the pace.
apart from the Rog.
You touched on this before, but how was the take-up of riding once like he was out the hoop?
It was phenomenal.
Everyone was there. Assos was there.
Luis Leon Sanchez came back from the break, didn't he? Or something like that.
Cofidis was there. Like, it was like,
They were pulling people
what
back from
did
the
this
break.
guy do?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We don't have any intel on what his status is in the bunch, but
The Confidence one was interesting.
And the Assos one. I was
They
like,
weren't
what
riding
is-
for Viviani,
what
and
is-
Guy Martin wasn't going for a 7th position. Let's make sure we get 7th.
But yeah, I was talking before. That's it was Dauphiné last year. He, in the yellow jersey, didn't start the next day. Tour de France comes unstuck on the time trial, crashes in Paris-Nice. I know they're all kind of different situations, but it's 3 races now that he's coughed up on the last day, or while wearing the yellow jersey. So, is there anything in that? Is it just bad luck? Can there be that much bad luck?
What is the Tour finishing with a TT? Do we know? Tours. I don't. Sorry, you're way underprepared for that question.
Nah, you two just talk between yourself. I'll look that up.
I'd love to see what the Tour is finishing with.
But at the same, he did win the Vuelta last year too, so he can close out
He
races.
probably-
He's won a lot of massive races, so it's just
Well,
something worth noting.
the one he crashed on was a bunch sprint. Who won? The Magnus Court.
Mm.
Yeah, so the one he's crashed on ended up just being a bunch sprint race, didn't it?
Yeah.
A flat.
Yeah,
stage.
I mean, it was going to be a tricky stage to defend, but
Yeah.
if you stay upright, he
Yeah.
would have won.
Maxi, little 31k TT.
On the penultimate
to
day.
finish off the Tour de
Yeah,
France.
so the Pog wins.
Yeah. But how was the grit on him though? Just to just keep hustling. Like he was.
Yeah,
That was a genuine chase. It was he v the peloton.
I admired that. Same with that's the stage in Torino that I said was unbelievable when Van Aert and Pogacar just chased Van der Poel. I admired both their rides as well.
Yeah, I love those stages where it is just man on man.
It's the famous Cadell winning the yellow jersey when he had all those guys on his back and just rode for 100k.
Yeah,
Mm.
big time.
Anything else from Paris-Nice before we start to look at the monument this weekend, Milan-San Remo?
No, I reckon we've covered it.
Any smokies you picked up in Paris-Nice, Max?
No, Paris-Nice was a little bit harder. I wish I got around Magnus Court in the last. That would have been nice. I had Vlasov each way, so he ended up coming second.
Second on the
So I got a
general.
little bit of money back that way.
That last stage was written for Magnus Court.
Yeah, that's why I'm
That was-
disappointed
that
that I
was-
wasn't
That was
all over
that was textbook Magnus Court.
I was still looking
50.
at those guys that have been like Laporte and Matthews who are finishing every stage well. You just get tied into them and then they don't do it.
Yeah.
He's the 20-man bunch kick specialist when he's pretty much just racing climbers.
Who was was it Paris-Nice that had the EF rider yelling at people when he was in the breaks? Remember Kenny Esselon? Where he was either Paris-Nice or Torino, and there was this big EF rider who was yelling at him.
Yeah, so he's been out in the break all day, and then this guy comes from the peloton and shouting at him for not doing a turn.
And Kenny
Come
Esselon was
on.
like, mate, you're going to win a bunch sprint against me. I'm no danger.
I hate seeing that. Mate, I've been out here all day, and you want me to give you a turn, and I'm 50 kilos.
That's all I've got on those two.
Just not really on Paris-Nice. I guess it is a little bit off the back of your question, Alex, and we did touch on it before. Ineos, what's the direction? Where are they at? They had Dylan van Baarle was their best rider on the general
They
here.
had some issues there.
I know Richie
Gagan-
Port probably came in as the
Gagan
leader.
also pulled out.
Teo also pulled out. So they did have a few issues, but it seems as though off the back of the Giro last year, they've kind of had this new approach. We saw Bernal kind of having a little bit of an attack at Torino. Maybe the days of the big train on the climbs, is it done for them? Are they really going for a new attacking approach?
Was it Adam Yates that looked okay at UAE?
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
But I don't know. Yeah, you're right. They seem like they've fallen in love with their newfound culture of being able to win any stage from any position.
Yeah.
And now they've forgotten potentially the GC.
Yeah. I mean, when you win 6 stages at the Giro like they did, and Teo winning the Giro, like you can see maybe why they want to go down this route, but the tried and tested winning the Tour de France the way they did, do they have the cattle to do that now?
I think that's the question. Do they have the cattle? I think we were looking at their squad last year and we're like, Bernal, like Richie's coming to the team, Yates is coming to the team, Geraint's there, obviously.
Depluse as well.
Depluse is good. Like wow, action.
Carapaz.
Carapaz.
Richard, is he? Yeah,
Navarro's.
For me, he's the man. Carapaz,
You,
he's the leader.
The man-
you were all over Richard in at our tour previews.
I am bullish on it.
So you reckon he's the man
think
that can
so.
take the ROG and the POG? Because for me, at the moment, looking at what they've got, they've got tier 2 cattle.
I don't think anyone can take it to who we're talking about, but if anyone can, it's Carapaz.
Yep.
What's he doing? Where is he?
5,000 meters in Ecuador.
A little bit of mum's cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Surely we can't write Egan off yet, can we?
I'm not
I
writing
think it
him
would be
off.
foolish to do so, as he won the Tour de France at 21, 22.
Yeah.
But G. Thomas, is he past it?
Thomas can be like, I feel like Thomas will make the tour team, but he'll be the third domestique almost.
Of course, yeah.
He'll ride at the base of the climb and get dropped 6K in.
Thomas's days of leading, though.
No, I think from what I saw, where was he? Parini or Torino? Torino.
He was at Torino.
He attacked that one time where he got onto the back of
He got on.
Pog.
Well, Pog came over the top of
Pog
him
came over the
Yeah.
top of him and then sat on the
and
back
just
and got
blew
dropped.
his doors
But
off.
his TT was all right, G.
Yeah, his
Yeah.
TT's always going
So
to
he
be
must still
solid.
have legs.
But that's the thing. His TT was good, but he's also losing 20 seconds to Pogacar
Yeah, right.
over 10K.
Yeah, he's
So-
multiples better on the climb.
So if that's his strength, it's not really good enough, is it?
Yep.
It's concerning. I mean, I think he's also 35 or something, Grant Thomas. He looks like he's about late 20s. He looks good, but he's been around for a long time.
He's got to stop wearing these sunglasses that he wears. They annoy
Don't
me.
mind him. I don't mind the jawbones.
They annoy me.
No one else can wear them ever from now on. But
I like him. I reckon
I'm
he's a character.
massive fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
He seems like a really good guy, but possibly past it.
Milano-San Remo this weekend.
Going to be a genuine race. I'm disappointed it doesn't mix with the GC guys a bit. I think Pog and Rog aren't going,
Yeah.
to be, I think.
I'm
pretty sure.
not too sure. I did have the star list up here.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure UAE were all about Gaviria, maybe, or someone else.
Christoph
Yeah.
and Gaviria are there. Yeah.
And Trenton.
Mateo, I'm sure, will put his hat in the ring.
It doesn't matter who the leader is. Trenton will go for himself.
So I disappointed Pog and Rog aren't there, but the big three are. The question is, can anyone else either be in the finish with them or upset them?
Well, I think the best chance for anyone besides those big three is just, when you come off the Poggio on the downhill, a little bit of hesitation, come over the top, they sit up for 10 seconds. That's how it's going to happen. It's going to be a little bit of luck involved.
Sagan's a descender.
So is Mathieu. So is Alaphilippe.
That's the thing, though. You're like, there's got to be some kind of weakness in the package. Like, there's nothing. There's actually nothing. They've got it all.
It's just that timing off the Poggio. Hope for some hesitation. That's the only way I see it.
It'll be too hard for the sprinters, you'd think.
I think so.
What's Caleb? Has Caleb done a good Milan-San Remo before?
He's been second there when
Second.
when Nibali won solo. Caleb
Yeah,
won best
right.
of the rest, 5 meters off Nibali.
But it was more of a peloton type feel.
Yeah. I don't remember who was the big attackers on the Poggio that year, but well, Nibali obviously was, but I don't know who else was there. I can't remember.
Just I know the Poggio isn't the final climb at Strata, but the way he went up that, like, no sprinter in their right mind can be close to that.
No.
It was out of control.
And we're not classifying Van Aert as a sprinter here, are we?
No, he's not a sprinter, but he'll also win the sprint. If it comes down to a sprint,
Exactly.
he'll win the sprint. But also, Van der Poel will probably beat him in the sprint too. Like, that's it. Even if they get to the finish, there's still genuine chances to win. It's not like, the sprinters are here. It's a Bennett Ewan show.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
And they're also taking Alaphilippe is there, but Bennett's also there too. So it's a nice little two-pronged for.
And the other one that's
For quick
there
step.
is Ballerini's there as a little intermediate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ackerman's
blend.
there.
He would be official fourth favourite, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Ballerini, you'd think.
Pull that down a little bit.
He would be official fourth favourite, Ballerini.
Fourth favourite in the race.
In our eyes, yeah. It'd be Alaphilippe, Van Aert, Van der Poel, Ballerini would be the fourth favourite, you'd think? Or am I, mate? Are you disagreeing with me?
I just question where he sits, like what the race outcome would be where he's...
So you reckon it'll be an elite sort of group of 8 that have broken away? So like your Kokoskis and Pidcock or something like that will be in there. Your Nasons. your GVAs.
I don't think they're there.
They're not even there. So it's just the three, and maybe one.
Have you ever ridden the climb?
Yeah.
Have you raced it?
No. It's not super steep.
But
After 290k, it's tricky, isn't it? But we see sprinters can win this race. Mark Cavendish has won this race. I know it was sort of a different time. We don't have
I feel like we just throw out the rule book like on all previous editions. Like this is a new race with these two guys plus Alaphilippe potentially
race.
teaming up.
Yeah.
And they all don't have strong team. I don't think Jumbo are taking a strong team. And Van der Poel definitely doesn't have the strong team. So they just go out and ride by themselves.
Yeah, it is the race, though, where you don't need a strong team.
Yeah.
Because it's so flat, it's so long, you just need a couple of guys to keep it together till Cipressa and Poggio.
Fun fact, they're showing it fully live, the whole Milan-San Remo for the first time. It's probably not the one-day race to show fully live, is it?
It's the only...
There's a good 6 hours of not much.
The only reason it's acceptable that this race is so long is because of its rich history.
Yeah.
If you started this race tomorrow, it's ridiculous.
Well, ever since they protested the Volta, I'd be scared to schedule anything over 200k.
You say that the team is not important, but from the Cipressa to the Poggio, the team is so important.
Yeah.
Like that run in, if you can be well looked after.
I do agree. Maybe it was a bit harsh for me to say you don't need a good team.
No, but you don't need Bora riding the entire stage.
Well, in that case, Ineos have the best team there, in my opinion.
You seen the depth on that Quick-Step team.
Oh, sorry, yes.
But
Quick-Step.
Ineos, similar trend.
Yeah.
No. So the question I have...
That's a deep team.
Yeah, it's a deep team. The question I have is, what does Alaphilippe do when he crests the top of the climb with Van Aert?
Well, he knows he can beat them in a bunch. He's done it.
Though?
Well,
can he?
There's the famous, was it Amstel or Liège-Bastogne-Liège where he hit the bike last year? It was one of those. Flanders, sorry.
Yeah.
So it was the third one. And then this year, he got beat by Van der Poel at the hill, and then he's beaten them at Paris-Nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, where were they? Were they at Paris-Nice or Torino?
They are at Torino.
Torino.
But it was an uphill kick. I just don't know if he's got the speed. Van Aert beat Caleb Ewan in a bunch. That's genuine
He
speed.
beat Caleb in a bunch sprint, then dropped Egan on a climb.
And then torch Ganner in the TT. That is just the summary.
That's a great trifecta, isn't it?
Remember, Alaphilippe's won here before in a small group. 2019, there was Nason, Kwiatkowski, Sagan was there, Van Aert. So I think if I can see this happening. I can see Alaphilippe, Van der Poel, Van Aert going over, flying down the descent at wild speeds, not getting caught, and all of them just backing themselves in a
well, what we will
sprint.
know, Alaphilippe and Van der Poel will attack. Van Aert, we're not sure. He's probably happy with a bunch. So where Alaphilippe has to attack, because if he doesn't and it's a group finish, he's not the lead rider for Quick-Step anymore.
Correct.
So, I mean, it sounds quite selfish, but...
Is that what he's playing at? Is he playing at, well, Bennett's in the bunch, Ballerini's in the bunch. I need to get on the...
Correct. Where Van der Poel could be like that in future as well, with their good sprinter now.
Is there any smokies?
Well, I think Pidcock is a smoky-ish.
I think there's heaps of smokies because everyone else is a smoky pretty much.
Yep.
So these three boys have to mark any attacks almost.
Yeah, but I don't see anyone else with real danger causing them problems. You know what I'm saying?
Bettiol's not to his form of what he was, is he?
I like Krar Anderson.
Yeah,
Tour de France-esque flyer.
That's the the upset that I was talking about before. That little hesitation on the bottom of the downhill, someone coming over the top. That's bread and butter for him if he's there.
You mentioned this before, Campbell, though. Christoph, just to dust off a little bit, just get one off chops win for the year.
He'll just wait for stage one of the tour again.
It's possible.
Matthews is there, but is he really? I just can't see how the race unfolds for him to win.
So my official smoky is John Degenkolb, just because of the form he's in. He's in some good touch. I know he's a little bit older and his best is probably behind him. But if they get rid of the sprinters and Degenkolb's still there, he could easily, not easily, he could potentially beat those guys in a bunch.
We haven't even talked about Damar.
I saw a quote from him saying he's nowhere near those three boys. He said if it was a bunch sprint, maybe.
That's a pretty realistic summary of where he's at, I think. Hasn't bagged a win yet this year. Quinn Simmons for Trek. Stuyven for Trek.
See, those names we'll always talk about Nason, Stuyven, Van Avermaet for one days just because of their resume, won't we?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think as long as they're around, they'll come up in these sort of conversations.
And then Ineos is interesting.
Ineos will throw a lot at it.
Kwiatkowski, Ganna, Pidcock.
And
Ben Swift was hooking last year on that hard finishes.
And then Van Baal and Rowe are both.
He's someone that would back himself in Swift in a bunch sprint after 300k.
He was almost the last Ineos rider left at Paris-Nice and still was riding for Van Baal. Why wouldn't they be riding for Swift?
Not sure.
It was well.
No
I found
idea.
that weird.
You know who else was in half decent nick? Heinrich Hausler. He
So we're doing some good lead outs.
He ran a drum at
one of the Europe Tour races.
something. He's run a drum at something this year.
Yeah,
he's
at
been
something in the Europe.
he's been around the mark.
That sprint of him and Cav back in whenever it was 2009 is one of the best drag races of all time. These blokes are sprinting 350.
The key point being, you said 2009. That's how long he's been around for.
I know. It's crazy. Swift has been second at this race before, just quietly. 2016.
I really want to get the Heinrich Hausler result.
So where do you see Caleb and Bennett at, Campbell? What role do they play?
Yeah, are they going to get up over this climb within 20 seconds of these boys?
With a teammate?
Caleb will have a teammate, you'd think.
Binary, I'm going to say no, they don't. They don't feature.
They don't even feature in this race.
Probably no.
All right, one.
Because also the sickness of Caleb doesn't help either. You know, he had to pull out of Torino. What's that last week? The races on Sunday. We don't know what sort of sickness it is, but if you're going to be winning San Remo, you've got to have a pretty nice run in, not interrupted. That's why I don't like him.
Arnaud Demar at his best would think he could get over this hill.
Yeah.
And Bennett is at his best. So let's not leave it at.
He is at his best.
Yeah. They also have the strength of teams. So they're going to be in good posse heading into that climb.
But the issue with Bennett is he doesn't have the strength of the team riding for him.
Yeah. Van der Poel got a little bit lost a couple of times.
He gets himself lost in pelotons.
At Torino. If he's like, that's a narrow entry.
Yeah,
that's a narrow climb.
He'll be gone before then.
You reckon he's going to go before the Poggio?
Wow, I don't mind that call.
If anyone's going to
if anyone's going to try and light it up on the Cipressa, it's him. Don't mind that early call.
For me, there's too far in between. Like, he's going to chew up so many bickies because it's not steep climbing. That stage where he went wild from 50k to go, like it was just up, down, up, down, up. There's no flat track.
It's not like that.
What are your thoughts? This is segueing a little bit. What are your thoughts on the rivalry, Van der Poel Van Aert? Do you think it's bringing cycling, like, it's a great thing for cycling? It is a great thing for cycling.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they need to capitalize on it. Like, it's almost like tennis when Fed Nadal and they capitalized on it.
Yeah.
Like, cycling need to.
You touched on this at the start though. You were like, oh, it's not just Froomey. It's not like the key part is there's two of them.
Yeah.
If there was one of them, it'd be like, just another hitter that just crushes everything. But because there's two of them, they're both the same background. There's that podium shot that always comes up from them with like under 17 worlds and like.
And they're identical at everything they do.
Their strengths are identical.
So it's not like Froome v Quintana that had completely different strengths and weaknesses.
And I think what also adds to it, I don't think they like each other.
No, and the famous Mads Pedersen win last year when they were both looking at each other and Pedersen just said, all right,
Yeah.
I'll go win.
They said, okay, as long as he doesn't win.
They just didn't want each other to win.
Yeah.
I haven't got Mads Pedersen on my start list here.
I don't think he was. I don't know why.
Why
Because
isn't
this
he
would
going?
be a
He's had a recent win, hasn't he?
bloody good
Yeah.
good race for
He would
him.
be good smoky.
Yeah, I mean, he'd probably come in as the fourth favourite, I think, behind the big three.
Maybe they're all win for Francesco. That's what it comes down to.
Old Vince.
But yeah, back on the rivalry, I think it's extra good because there is that.
They almost need to, like, let's say it's Tour Down Under. It's not going to be Tour Down Under, but like the headline before it even says Tour Down Under, it's like Van Aert v Van der Poel.
Yeah. Because like you touched on with the Federer Nadal, I think it's quite an amicable relationship.
Yeah.
But these boys, like, there's a lot of history there and they hate seeing each other win.
I think
I like it. I like it a lot.
And it's
a
either-
non-cycling fan would read the article quite happily,
yeah.
or like would watch it.
Yeah.
And it's always one or the other that's winning.
Yeah.
Then there's like this like tier of traditional cyclists, like the roadies underneath them that are just going at it as well, which I think adds to it.
Yeah.
There's the famous non-cycling fan that goes like, "Oh, how does Froome win the Tour when he's come 20th in every stage and doesn't win the bunch sprints?" Like, these guys are the new age cycling fans where like they want to see them win in every stage.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah.
The TDU needs to bring them to Australia.
They paid for Sagan, didn't they? They got
Yeah, they
Sagan.
Well, they
Yes.
had Lance Armstrong as well.
They
I'm
had
sure
Lance
there's plenty of
Armstrong.
cash reserves
Yeah.
to get these boys in, but yeah, I don't know whether are they there yet for the non-cycling public to know them.
Yeah, maybe. There's a couple of guys at the club that like cycling, and they really only understand if I talk Bernal, Roglic, Pogacar at the moment. Like the guys who are winning the mountains.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned Van der Poel, and someone goes, "Which one's that? Is that Van Aert?" I'm like, "No, there's another guy called Van der Poel." Like,
Yeah.
very similar.
Yeah.
I'm like, he is like the man at the moment, but obviously just for us nerds.
I think the one day is like if it was more accessible for the public would be more exciting than a Tour de
Oh,
France.
it's
really.
accessible now. They just need to promote GCN, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the tale is there to be told. There's just no one to put the hype around it.
Yeah.
One day classics. Cycle. I'm only starting to learn this last couple of years more about the one day classics. I've always been just a tour Giro man.
Yeah.
And then the Volta sort of came in, and now I'm the whole calendar, including the Europe tours.
Yeah.
Sam's I was watching the other day.
But the point being that you had to learn that. It doesn't
Yes,
it's not
yes.
like, oh, I like AFL.
So the one day
That's
classics.
Yeah.
If you get an amateur rider, they want to ride the Tourmalet. They don't want to go ride Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tour's the tour,
The
isn't
tour's
Yeah.
tour. Everyone starts with a tour.
it? Yeah.
So can you get these boys to the tour? Does Van der Poel's team have a wild card to the tour? Do we know?
I think Mathieu can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, so if
Yeah.
he said, I want to go to the tour will bring their team.
I'd say
Yeah.
so. Yeah, I think he has that sort of pull.
They'd even cut their French Conti team for him.
I reckon. I mean, you'd be silly not to, wouldn't you, as an organiser? If
There was
Mathieu
a-
wants to come, you say, nah, I don't fancy it.
There was an interesting fact around the Giro. The Giro cut one of the Italian teams that have been there every thing for the last 20, 30 years. I wish I knew more about it because it would have been a great story. Cut them from the Giro.
But to bring
what?
to bring someone else.
what
I
cost?
think it was either the Quintana team or the Van der Poel team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I only know them as their name.
Tips.
Quintana team or Van der Poel team. What are they?
Tips.
Sam
Tips.
Sick and Alpecin
Alpecin.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Tips.
For Milan-San Remo.
Milan-San Remo.
Then we got a little rest, don't we? There's like a tour de Normandy or something like that. Maybe.
I'll get back to you on that way.
Okay, sorry.
I know Flanders is Easter Sunday, which is the 4th of April, so maybe there's a little break. But Catalunya would
When
be
I
coming
say
up.
break, there'll be a Monday to Friday off. There'll
Yeah.
still be the Saturdays
Yeah.
will still be on.
Yeah, hot and heavy.
Tips. Talk to me.
All right. Well, I'll pick 3 and leave one of the big 3 out and get a smoky in there. So I'll go Van der
Is
Poel.
this your top 3?
Van der Poel will win. I'm a massive Van der Poel man. He's just got so much ticker.
Yep.
And Van Aert will come second. Julian will get lost amongst it all, and I'll go Degengold for third.
You're big on Degenkolb, aren't
You
you?
are.
That's my
You
smoky.
are.
He's just racing well. That's all. Not doing much. Just he's in the right groups at the right times.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I could just say Alaphilippe
I'm-
third.
I think Wood Van Aert's going to win.
You reckon you'll get it back on Van der
He'll
Poel?
get it back.
So is Van der Poel got bragging rights at the
because
moment
I think so.
because of Strade, or does Wout
I
for
think
second in
that's
Paris-Nice?
that's the other piece about the rivalry, though. Last year was the Van Aert show.
Yeah.
Like, he was everywhere. Van der Poel's like, come back.
Van der Poel did touch him up at Flanders in the two-up sprint.
But that was it. That was kind of like the only head-to-head.
Van der Poel's done like 5 special things this year. And Van Aert's like, we're just talking about how he was riding at the front as a GC rider, like, and win the bunch sprint. They're both special, but I think Van der Poel's got bragging rights of 2021 so far. So maybe that's Wout.
I think Wout's going to win based off his entry into that final climb. He's going to be in mint posse, and that's going to be the difference. Van der Poel still comes second. And I think Bennett will win the best of the rest.
So you reckon those two will get away? It'll be a group.
Those two will get away. It'll be a Flanders replication.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I'm also going to go with Van der Poel.
Yeah.
I
Two
really,
Van der Poels here.
I really like him at the moment. He's got so much panache, and just the way he celebrated when he won that stage, Torino, where he got lost a couple of days before, and the next day he comes out and he gives a big celebration.
I've even just given him a follow on Insta as well.
Have you?
I've just started following
Did you
him.
get a follow back?
No follow back.
Stiff,
But I don't
stiff.
normally like following because when I wake up, it's ruined the result if I've checked Instagram first.
Yeah.
So I like to watch the replays and whatnot. But Van der Poel deserved to follow.
And then the rest, I'm not too sure. I think Van Aert in second, and I'll just go.
Give me a smoky.
I mean, my smoky's Cry Anderson.
Okay.
Yep, I like him a lot.
So your attempt there is Cry Anderson's attacked, Van der Poel, Van Aert catch him, and he holds on for third.
Nah, what I'm seeing is Cry Anderson comes over the top of those boys. They've gone on the climb. They're on the downhill. They all sit up, start watching each other. Cry Anderson comes from
Mads
the back.
Pedersen style.
2K to go. Hesitation. Don't see him again.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, it's going to be great drama. I love having a ride on post game because I don't sleep well post games.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'll just sit up. I won't watch the full 6-hour Matthew Keenan special, but
What?
I might tune into the last hour or two.
I didn't really give a smoky in mine. Mine was pretty traditional answer. And I would say Christoph, but I think the weather's meant to be quite good. If it was like pissing rain, Christoph.
Get him.
Dirty bunch kick.
I'm disappointed they didn't mention an Ineos rider as well because I like what their team has taken.
Yeah, their team's got a lot to offer.
They do. Pretty much all of those guys, probably besides Puccio and Rowe,
I think
can feature.
Rowe's winning days are behind him.
Yeah, but I think he's one of the best team captains.
Correct.
You want to have him on your team.
Mm.
And
One
Garner will be able to get anyone he wants to whatever group he wants.
Exactly.
Apart from UAE Stage 1, he couldn't catch the echelons. That was Harper said that, didn't he? Or Schultz on one of your interviews? He said when did Schultz do the UAE tour?
Yeah, UAE tour.
Yeah, he said the echelons on Stage 1 were crazy, and even Garner couldn't get from one group to the other.
That was his analogy. It was like, doesn't matter if you're Filippo Ganna winning. He said this at the time, winning every TT possible. Not anymore. You're not making that split. Like you just need to be in the mixer.
Yeah.
Smokey, Jasper Stuyven.
Mm-hmm.
They all blend into one person.
They
like
do
I
all
said
blend into
before.
one person. The others have got to look like. So, like we were talking about with Mabworth Smith winning that stage, the others have to look at themselves so hard for anything to go right, for any of these opportunities to come about. And I'm really disappointed that I can't say Mads Pedersen.
There's got to be some reason
Is
why
there
he's not
something-
there.
Is he doing something else?
I'm disappointed I can't say Pogacar.
It'd be good if we had,
Just going wild from the bottom.
Oh, well, Pog's shown that he can stay with them. I don't think he'd have to get rid of them on the climb as well.
Yeah.
And the other Smokey for third is Heino. For third.
Was it Strade? Did Pog finish with the group on Strade? Was he on Strade?
Yeah.
Or am I thinking about the Vanderpoel win at Torino where Pog
Nah,
was
Pog got his doors blown off when
When Mathieu went
Mathieu
Estrada.
went, yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
but he came fourth or something with in
he
that
won.
group.
He won the
The best of the rest.
best of the rest.
Mm.
That's easily the highlight of the year so far. Vanderpoel blowing a fit-looking Alaphilippe off his wheel at Strada. Hopefully something like that
From the
happens
front.
again.
From the front too.
From the front.
Literally just rode him off his wheel.
And actually, when Alaphilippe first attacked, I'm like, Alaphilippe looks good.
Mm.
That was crazy.
He went backwards. I think that's all.
That's all. That's a crazy start to a cycling year.
That was a good unpack. I enjoyed that.
That's a crazy start. We haven't even got to any sort of Grand Tour race.
Yeah, and there's heaps to run before we even get to the Giro.
Yeah.
There's a lot in the next month or so.
All
I think
the-
it's
all the big
6
classics.
odd weeks. Yeah.
And just the calendar of the good riders, where they're going to go.
Yeah.
Like, you want them all at the Tour, they're not going to be there.
Mm.
Pog and Rog will be, but the other three, who knows?
Yeah. Just on other news, you're starting your football season
Tomorrow, yes. Yes, round 1 against Freo at the G. We tend to get an interstate team round 1 at the G. It tends to be our main round 1 fixture. Hopefully we get our 50,000. There's been a bit of pressure on Melbourne.
You think they would?
Melbourne to be able to fill out the 50,000. We've got 40,000 members. So therefore
35,000 of them will be down at their beach houses at Sorrento.
So therefore we get 5,000 then. that'll come.
And the other 100,000 supporters are MCC members.
And then all the big, we got a massive Freo contingent in Melbourne, don't we?
Yeah.
So they'll all be there as well. No, look, I've to be completely honest, not just pumping Freo's tyres up, I've picked them to come 8th this year. Well, in the top 8. So
Good young midfield
I
group
reckon
this
they're a
year.
good young team. They touched us up in Cairns. We were playing for finals last year and they beat us in Cairns. So it'll be a good game. Fife is obviously a superstar. We've got some good names back. Oliver Brayshaw come back from that doggies loss that we had a couple of weeks ago. Still no tall forward, although Tommy McDonald, that's probably selling him short. But Wiedemann and Brown are still injured. Viney playing a VFL game this week. Melksham's playing a VFL game this week.
But any young blokes in the
James
in the
Jordan
picture?
on debut.
Yep.
Midfielder. You would have thought our midfield was relatively hard to get into. With Brayshaw, Oliver, Harms, and Petraka are all playing, and we've still managed to squeeze in James Jordan and Tom Sparrow. So there's a lot of midfielders.
We're talking like the cycling rule books just changed completely. Like any man, his dog can be a top contender in the world tour now. Is it changing in AFL at all, or is it still pretty just how it is? How it was?
There's some certain positions like full forward, centre half forward, full back, and centre half back will never change, and then ruck, and then everyone else is a midfielder. There's a lockdown defender. You get a little lockdown defender, like a Neville Jenner for us. There is a lockdown defender, but Salem is a midfielder that has a good kick, so we put him on half back. Alex Neil-Bullen's a midfielder who's a little bit small, so we go, all right, you're small, you can be a forward pressure player. Like it's just delegating people different roles.
Yeah.
I don't know what the rules are going to do. I haven't stood the mark yet, so I don't know anything about the standing the mark one. It seems to have opened it up. The boys looked tired last night.
Didn't they?
in
That
the
fourth
Carlton
quarter,
Richmond
everyone was dead on their feet.
game. Apart from my boy Oscar McDonald, who looked like Corey McKernan out there at one stage.
Goldie's first touch.
Yes, from a downfield free kick. That's almost the ultimate. In your first ever game for a club, you were a sub who got a goal from his first kick from a downfield free kick. That is ultimate. So it'll be interesting. I think I'll stay on the ground a bit, especially in the second half. I reckon they'll try and waste a subs rotation
Just
on
get
me.
you behind the ball.
Well, hopefully now we got a ruckman that we trust to be able to put in there in Luke Jackson.
Yeah.
I might be able to go forward a little bit.
Hello.
Get a couple of
Bagafy.
snags. So snags are like winning stages where playing the ruck all day is just staying relevant on GC.
Yeah.
So now I get a chance to go for a couple of stage wins,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is exciting, rather than just always sitting high on GC.
Yeah.
I like the analogy.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks, guys.
Campbell.
That was
Thank
fun. I needed to talk. I needed to get off my chest what was happening in the cycling world, so I'm glad I was able to come in and do it.
Mm.
Plenty more to come.
Plenty more to come. It's only just started.
So only the beginning.